Alright, you lot. So apparently, Medway AI label is obsolete. Don't matter anymore. We're just supposed to accept that future game dev is a pile of prompts stitched together by robots and zero fingerprints. Matt Workman says drop label. Tim Sweeney nods like a Bond villain in a Patagonia fleece. And Ackman, he fires back. Says consumers deserve to know if a game is Medway AI, like it's same as slot machines and loot boxes. Well, strap in, because today we're going full throttle through this digital minefield. Gamers versus consumers, tools versus authorship, and cold truth no one wants to admit. AI is already inside house, and so are you. Let's start where it rock began. Matt Workman, filmmaker turned tech whisperer, posts on November 13th. Steam and all digital marketplaces need to drop Medway AI label. It don't matter anymore, just like that. No nuance, no context, like we've all just agreed to swallow sludge and stop asking what's in it. Then Tim Sweeney, CEO at Epic Games and part-time spokesman for Robot Apocalypse, jumps in with his corporate lullaby. Agreed, AI tag is relevant to art exhibits for authorship disclosure, and to digital content licensing markets where buyers need to understand rights situation. It makes no sense for game stores, where AI will be involved in nearly all future production. Translation? Art needs labels, products don't. And you lot? You're not buying art, you're buying content. So shut up and click download. This into tech, it's a rollout, a push to normalise AI saturation we had to trace. It's not that labels don't matter, it's that labels convenient. It reminds people that thing they're playing might have been pieced together by algorithms and spreadsheet logic instead of a creative sweat. They want to remove only signal we've got left that says, hey, someone might not have actually made this, they might have just prompted it. AI tag? It's not about purity, it's about awareness. And when these two jump up and say, it don't matter, what they really mean is, stop asking questions. Future's automated, and we'd like you to pay for it quietly. Here comes Ackman, charging in like last paladin of purity. Consumer deserves to know if a game they may want to purchase made in tandem with AI. In the same way they deserve to know if gamers been compromised by loot boxes and gambling mechanics. Advocating for otherwise just makes you an anti-consumer dickhead. Now listen, I get where he's coming from. Transparency matters. Players should know what kind of Frankenstein horror they're installing before they drop 70 quid on it. If a dev's replacing writers with ChatGPT or sticking Midjourney gunk in place of actual art, yeah, call it art. But here's where whole thing folds like a wet tissue. He's coming at it from consumer angle, and that's rotten at foundation. Gamers aren't consumers. Moment you call us that, you get industry permission to treat us like passive wallets. You surrender identity of player, modder, breaker, builder, critic, and become just another dopamine junkie and storefront mates. Loot boxes, gacha, overpriced cosmetics, all justified under consumer engagement. You think they'd dare pull that crap if they had to face us as gamers first? Consumer deserves to know is a corporate language virus. It makes your demands sound safe, bureaucratic, and ignorable. Ackman means well, but by framing debate in consumer terms, he's giving publishers exact leash they want. Because if it's just about disclosure, just another checkbox, they'll give it to you, and then bury it under 5 layers of UI fluff you'll never read. What we actually need, interlabel, it's confrontation. We don't want to know AI were used. We want to know if humans actually made this bloody thing or not. That's not consumer protection, it's gamer survival. It's line in fucking sand. Gamers are not consumers. You're not walking wallet, you're not engagement metric, you're not a bundle of demographic data screaming for battle passes and dopamine. You're a player, and that distinction is everything. Consumers accept what's put in front of them. Gamers tear it apart. We mod it, we optimize it, we break it for fun and rebuild it for better. We don't just buy a game, we interact with it, we test its limits, we push devs, we rage, we rant, cause we care. When you let industry rebrand us as consumers, you gain permission to treat games like a fucking vending machine. They remove mechanics, they gate content, they pad playtime, they slap live service on a corpse and call it a business model. At the moment you start demanding transparency through a consumer lens, devs love you for it, because they already have disclosure systems. They just hide them in font size 4, buried under sparkle and loot timers. Medway AI label ain't for gamers, it's for consumers. It's a weak, vague tag that does fuck all to stop creative decay. You want to fix problem? Then stop asking for polite labels. Start asking what parts of game were built with actual human intent. Not because it's impure otherwise, but because you deserve craft, not content. Don't let them file you down into statistics, beat bastard that demands more. Beat player that calls out when game feels wrong, even if it's labelled 100% organic. Now, time to drop bail. Cause see, it's true, no one's saying out loud. AI ain't coming, it's already here. It's in every game you played in last decade, and not in places you think. AI don't just mean some robot drew character art with extra fingers. It's in codebase, engines, QA tools, animations, lighting, fucking menu layout. Let's break it down. You think Unity and Unreal run without machine learning? Guess again. Procedural terrain? AI. Adaptive lighting? AI. NPC pathfinding that don't get stuck in a rock anymore? AI. Auto-generated nav meshes and animation blending? AI. Marketing A/B testing, storefront placement, Steam tags, user retention curves, all driven by machine logic. And it don't stop there. Even basic dev tools now run on predictive algorithms, writing scripts, debugging systems, compiling builds faster than any human could keep up. This isn't just AI helped with art, this is full-blown pipeline integration. So when someone says, this game were made with AI, I got news for you. They all were. Every AAA title, every indie darling, every access roguelike made by 3 dudes in a shed. If it touched Unity, Unreal, Photoshop, Copilot, GitHub, Substance Painter, or even Google, AI were in room. So if presence or AI is issue, tag every fucking game on Steam, put label on launcher, tattoo it on Phil Spencer's forehead. Because reality is, AI is now part of dev toolkit, like spell check, like compression, like physics engines. And no one's crying about your jump arc being built with Havoc, but here's key difference. This right here is art and entire debate. There's a world of difference between AI assisted and AI authored, and if you don't know differences, you've already lost plot. Let's make it simple. You use Copilot to write a boilerplate movement script. That's assistance. You use ChatGPT to write every single NPC dialogue line without editing a damn word. That's authorship. You use Midjourney to sketch a concept, then repainted it, relit it, retextured it, made it fit your game's aesthetic. That's human direction. You typed cool gunman with a cape into AI, saved output, slapped it into your store page as is. That's outsourcing creative to algorithm. Tooling enemy, abdication is. Using Grammarly don't mean your story were written by AI. Using Google Translate don't mean your localization team's dead. Using AI to save time or optimize workflows ain't lazy. But using it to replace vision or skip graft to automate taste, that's where games start feeling hollow, like they were built in a spreadsheet. This isn't about whether AI were present, it's about who finished the damn thing. Were a human still in driver's seat? Was someone still shaping tone, pacing, feel? Cause see, it's kicker. AI can guess, it can blend, it can suggest, but it don't understand. It don't feel pacing, it don't choose narrative weight, it don't craft tension. When a dev lets AI do all that, when they stop asking, does this feel right? That's when soul bleeds out at game, and you end up playing digital tofu. Looks like food, no flavour, no teeth. So no, using AI tools into crime. Surrendering authorship is. Now let's take skin off at quietest part in gaming. Mobile. Billions of people play mobile games every day. And guess what? Most of those games are already soaked in AI from fucking menu to monetization. No warning labels, no ethical debates, no trending outrage, just tap-happy apocalypse built in algorithmic sludge. You ever seen a mobile ad that says, made with AI? No, because game don't need to say it. You can feel it. Add characters you've never seen in actual game, AI generated. Fake gameplay footage with mismatched UI, AI crafted. Voiceovers that sound like Siri with sinus infection, AI cloned. Level design that's 400 reskins deep with infinite procedural fluff, AI assisted templates and asset pack recyclers. And no one complains. No one asked for labels, because mobile already nuked expectation of craft years ago. It's not about play, it's about retention curves, whale tracking, ad optimization, and daily dopamine loops. AI didn't ruin mobile, it built mobile. And that's dirty secret console and PC world don't want to face. Sludge is already here. Mobile what test run? Steam's next phase. More than normalise AI content, close to your library gets to becoming app store in a trench coat. So where's outrage for that? Where's Medway AI label on Clash of Clans or Subway Surfers or latest garden merge zombie gun survivor tycoon? There is none, because they never bothered pretending. And now that same mindset is creeping into PC and console games. An industry wants you calm, quiet, unlabelled. Because if you don't know what's automated, you don't get to push back. And that's why label matters, but only if it's honest. So let's talk about label itself, Medway AI. Sounds clean, sounds informative. It's neither. That tag is useless marketing sticker slapped on a black box. It tells you not what AI used to debug code, generate art, write dialogue, design store page, pick monetization strategy. No clue. Same label every time. Could mean studio used Copilot to fix a missing bracket. Or entire game were puked out by Midjourney and voice acted by 11 Labs clones of YouTubers who never consented. Same tag. Imagine if food worked like this. You're allergic to peanuts and label just says, may contain stuff. Cool. Thanks. Super helpful. AI tag today is designed to be vague. Because if it was specific, it'd hold people accountable. Picture this instead, AI-assisted scripting only. Procedural art assets with human polish. Fully AI-generated NPC dialogue. Synthetic voice acting without disclosure or actor consent. Now we're talking. Now you've got context. That player knows what's machine-made and what were actually shaped by dev who gave a toss. But that's not what industry wants. They want label removed entirely, or kept so vague it may as well be invisible. Because more granular it gets, more obvious corner cutting becomes. Real solution ain't banning AI, it's labelling everything that touches it. It's demanding clarity, demanding authorship. Because AI ain't problem. Problem is pretending it don't matter. Which brings us to the core argument most people don't want to touch. Uncomfortable truths about creativity itself. Here's a bit that'll make purists scream. Originality is a myth. You think that character you drew came from some divine spark? You think that epic fantasy world you wrote just fell out of your brain untouched by influence? Bollocks. It's a remix. All of it. That character design, a Frankenstein blender anime you watched at 14, a movie villain you forgot about, and your mate's face who always looked like he belonged in a fighting game. That song you made. Yeah, those are the same 4 chords used in 800 pop tracks before it. You just twisted them enough to call it inspired. That story you wrote, it's tropes from Tolkien, pacing from Mass Effect, an advert tone from something you read on Reddit in 2016. Human brain is a pattern sponge. We soak up media, real life, emotion, chaos, and spit it back out in combinations that feel new, but not born in a vacuum. We're remix engines with skin on, and this is where AI steals art crowd, trips in its own shoelaces. If AI is evil because it trains on existing work, and guess what? So are we. Every artist alive has been trained on copyrighted work. We just call it inspired when it's wet and organic instead of synthetic and silicon. This don't mean AI is equal to us. Far from it. AI can't choose tone, can't feel stakes, it can't weigh what should be said. But let's stop pretending we're pulling creativity out of magical void. Difference ain't in data, it's in intent, authorship, craft. And that's what separates a game made with AI tools from a game made by AI sludge. If you're screaming for purity, take a long look at mirror, because you're built from remix too. Let's pull trigger on existential round. You want to understand what AI really is? Let me break it down for you. AI absorbs data. It learns from inputs. It builds models of worlds. It makes predictions. It creates by remixing its training data into new patterns. It doesn't know why it does what it does. It just does, based on what it's been fed. Now, swap out AI with you. You absorb world through your senses. You store experiences, art, memories, trauma, joy. You build internal models of physics, people, rhythm, logic. You take all that and make something, a story, a song, a level. You think it's original, but it's built from everything you've seen, felt, and lived. Does that make you a machine? No, but it makes you closer to one than you think. Because like it or not, we are pattern processors, biological remixers. We don't invent from zero, we invent from memory. And AI is just doing the same thing. We are to soul, we are conscience, we are intent. Difference isn't that we're human and it's not. Difference is that we give our creations meaning. We choose metaphor. We feel impact. We own art. AI just throw darts in dark and hope something sticks. But when we offload that choice, when we stop editing, stop correcting, stop owning results, we're not building anymore. We're just pressing generate. And that's whining here. It's not AI is coming to take your job. It's AI is coming to replace your responsibility. So maybe the real question in was this made with AI? Maybe it's was this finished by a human who gave a shit? Because if not, then it don't matter who wrote it, machine or man. It's empty. Maybe, just maybe, we're all biological AI. But what makes us different isn't how we generate, it's how we choose. So there it is. Labels broken. Outrage misfired, text already fused into bones of games you love, and real threat in AI itself, it's lazy bastards hiding behind it. You want to scream about purity? Cool. Just remember you're a remix engine wrapped in meat. You want to tag AI use? Fine, then be ready to tag everything. Because this isn't about tools, it's about who's still holding fucking brush. Like, subscribe and all that bollocks. Drop your comments and questions below. AI generated, human approved, preferably cursed. See you next time, you magnificent.